so well trained. Hey everybody, it's Friday, March 6, 2026, which means it's time for Fishtrap Fireside. Yeah, that was not very enthusiastic. It's time for Fishtrap Fireside. A special welcome to all of you who maybe this is your first time at Fireside, or maybe it's been a long time since you've been here. And of all of you folks who are watching at Fishtrap's YouTube channel or at fishtrap.org, happy to have you here too. Here's what it is. Fireside is a monthly reading series for local folks to share their work. And every month we get to hear what people who live around here are thinking about and writing down. This month is kind of fun, as we've been doing for maybe 6-7 years. Every March we celebrate Women's History Month in March and try to bring to you 3 people who have different life experiences and perspectives on things. So let me tell you who's coming up tonight. Give them a big Wallowa County welcome. Madeline Lau. That's right. Melisa Bush. And in yellow, Beth Estock tonight. Yeah. And then each of them will get about 10 minutes to share whatever they want to do, and then we'll take about a 10-minute break after that, and you can refill your cup, fill your plate, talk to folks, and we'll come back for the open mic portion of the program, where up to 5 people get up to 5 minutes to share what they're thinking about. I think the list is full. Oh, no, there's one spot, number 4. So during the intermission, if you feel brave, if you want to read something, share something, tell a joke, throw your name on there. Before we get started, it's important to mention that every month we have a sponsor for Fishtrap Fireside, and this month's Fireside is sponsored by Good Groceries. That's right. Yeah. It's a locally owned online grocery store that focuses on local, sustainably grown, raised foods and delivered once a week to your door. You can sample some of the Good Groceries goods at the intermission. There's a bunch of it over there. It's a way to support our farmers and ranchers and receive delicious, nutritious foods every week. Good Groceries, bringing the farm stand to you. That's right. Okay, let's get to our first reader. I think this is Madeline's 3rd time over the past 6 or 7 years. I'm super excited. Madeline Lau is an innkeeper, bard, frequent jester, and a whole slew of other medieval titles. She's raising her passel. Is that how you say it? Passel. She's raising her passel of 7th generation Oregonian sons on mirth and irony, and believes people should be generally more uncomfortable. Welcome, Madeline Lau.
Oh boy, it is such an honor to be thrice invited to read at Fishtrap. Thank you to the Fishtrap homies. Thank you to all of you for coming out tonight. I'm in wonderful company, so excited to hear what everybody has prepared tonight. And I'm happy to say I've written a bunch of pieces, and I run all of them by my most trusted proofreader who has a better understanding of imagery and metaphor than most adults I know, and that is my 12-year-old son. So I ran this by him, and he was adamant that this was the piece I needed to read, and I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yes, if you don't read this, I'm going to be very disappointed. All right, cool, I will do it. So this piece is called The Underdog. I realized recently in sports, I don't like cheering for the underdog. Lots of talk about the great come up, the miraculous defeat, the near miss, never before seen, shock and awe, takedown, no one was expecting. No. I like rooting for the pros, man. I like trophies, training, acknowledging years and years of hard work right here in this room, 0 missteps. How did he do it? Talking some Tom Brady goated shit that makes every other player on the field shake in their cleats due to proximity of greatness. Because these are our heroes, right? Our modern day gladiators who we bless with our unwavering attention, millions in brand endorsements, marriages to supermodels, and cloning of pet dogs. And I realized I feel this way because this is what I want men to be. I want them to be legendary. I want them to be unstoppable. I want them to be top of their game idols who everyone wishes they could just brush shoulders with, because the inspiration is so greatly emanating, it might land on you and you could grow into a legend too. I want to look up to men, be in awe of men, seek wisdom and counsel from men who so clearly know where they are going and will take us all along too. But instead, like so many women, I've made a lot of excuses for underdog men. And in so doing, I've self-abandoned and even sometimes risked safety. I've sat on the sidelines, fully benching myself as a second-string QB with a busted hammy who will never see the field so I could watch underdogs grow. I've offered placating responses, all-night anxiety vigils, desperate pleas in the name of who he could become if only he wanted to. And in private rooms with other women, we've shared the hard truths that if a man is comfortable screaming in your face, he could eventually kill you. A man who has no problem insulting you in public could take your life. A man who puts hands on you one minute could end you the next. We joke about women choosing the bear, but it's clear to so many of us, an unhealed man is a public health hazard. And the hardest part, the most dangerous part, the one that wakes me in a cold sweat at 3 a.m., is that I'm raising 3 young men who are anything but healed, mining the depths of their young brains, their dreams and desires, their instincts and primality, while maintaining some kind of boundaries and teaching the ethos of respect for all beings is my daily work, which I mostly fail at. Until I have a moment with my oldest son, age 12, talking about integrity, and I give him 2 choices. Is it innate or can it be taught? Neither, Mom. It's earned through a series of choices and a practice of radical self-honesty. My values are grit, integrity, and trust. Why would you even ask me this? Before you think I'm raising a saint, know that this kid also likes to rage bait me with stories of adulation for Andrew Tate, a convicted sex trafficker and outspoken misogynist beloved by many men of all ages. Through gritted teeth, I hiss, "I'll raise feminist sons if it fucking kills me," and hand him books of poetry by Ocean Vuong with a silent urging plea to just read it. How to raise boys in a new generation that has brought back the old school performative bigotry millennials like me fought so hard to abolish. Kids who think nothing of throwing out a casually racist remark but will dress you down for using the wrong pronouns for a friend. Who admire men that continue to exploit and commodify women's bodies like it's cool. These are confusing times, man, and the underdog ain't helping. Who are our heroes now? Men that are boisterous, outspoken, ostentatious, and sexist are in every level of public office. Their names are scattered like the most unsettling confetti through the tome a la Epstein. They've reached staggering success and they control our reality. They're in our beds and in our heads, and we love and hate them in the same breath. Even the GOAT Tom Brady couldn't keep married to his supermodel wife and is now posting selfies on the gram looking like a lovesick teenager dating women half his age. Sigh. I'll be the first to acknowledge it's tough out here these days for the dudes. So instead, I look to the men in my life I admire most of all and who I most believe can impact the level of change we need societally. Men whose abundant capabilities and stereotypical masculinity are tempered by a deep and abiding tenderness and ability to hold cavernous emotional space for themselves and for others. The question I ask of the guys in my circle is startlingly simple. Do you believe men have a responsibility to create a culture of safety for all marginalized groups? And yes, I mean the trans community, and yes, I mean the gays, and yes, I mean children, and yes, I mean women, because as a man, do you agree It is your biological duty to protect, even someone you may not agree with or understand. You're stronger, bigger, badder, baby, we get it. But with that power comes Herculean responsibility. I found that many unhealed men love the idea of protecting when it involves things like property and belongings and a good woman at home and some unseen, unknown assailant that could swoop down at any minute and can only be conquered by the lovingly amassed arsenal in the gun safe. But the real work of protecting, the real meat and potatoes that turns our patriarchal, antiquated system inside out and on its head, and from which flowers of justice and equality and many much hornier women sprout, is the work of protecting emotional safety, basic human rights, and space for differing opinions and perspectives in a courtroom of understanding and tolerance. Oh, buddy, these are not underdog concepts. These are life's work concepts that take grappling, questioning, and ultimately humility to embrace. But in my opinion, this is it. This is the work. And while I love an MVP or a Super Bowl ring or an Olympic medalist, this is something that men can accomplish at every level of society and in every community. No human growth hormone or cloned dogs required. I'm here cheering for men because I believe they can be the heroes we so badly need right now and evermore. Because just like with my own sons, I believe that lovingly holding the bar higher is the only way we're inspired to grow and improve. And because creating a culture of safety for all marginalized groups would so radically transform our way of life, there would be space enough even for the underdog to truly flourish.
Yeah, thanks, Madeline. Hey, I'm going to tell you about a couple things coming up at Fishtrap in the next couple months this spring. In April next month, our very own Shannon McNerney is leading a journaling workshop, and she's stepping out a little bit. It's going to be hybrid. That means that there will both be people here at Fishtrap and people all over the world. So we already have somebody from Salt Lake. That's far flung. So if you're interested in hanging out and journaling, if you want to re-spark that skill in your life, that practice in your life, that might be a fun way to do it. Lots of support. And then in May, another hybrid workshop with Mary Emmerich. She's going to talk about memoir. Tell your story. So you can take a look at those and sign up at fishtrap.org. Same with you folks out there in internet land. You're welcome to both of these workshops. Some of you know that Fishtrap has been working the past few years on developing with Mid-Valley Theater a theater program to bring more theater and plays and acting and opportunities for folks to Wallowa County. Well, we've developed this relationship with a Portland playwright, E.M. Lewis, who was a writer-in-residence a couple of years ago, an award-winning playwright. We're going to bring out on April 22, we're going to bring out one of her plays called Dorothy's Dictionary. Here's the quote, the pull quote. Sparks fly when Zan, an angry high school student, is forced to work off his community service assignment helping Dorothy, an ailing librarian. But each of them might just have what the other needs, if they can only find the words. Woo! Dorothy's Dictionary was the winner of the 2022 Portland Civic Theater Guild New Play Award and has been performed all over the country, and now it's coming to Wallowa County. So circle April 22 on your calendar. Okay, let's get to our next reader. Are you ready? Melisa Bush grew up barefoot in the Ozarks with a mother who played organ for weddings and funerals and a father who drove wreckers to every accident in the four-state area. Her parents often threatened to send her to Bible college to become a preacher's wife. Instead, she took the sampler platter in life, spending decades abroad in journalism and teaching at international schools across Asia, Africa, Europe, and South America. El mundo. She fell in love with her Oregonian husband Bill on a Japanese microbus over a shared copy of, get this, A River Runs Through It. Craig Leslie. And it was he who introduced her to the Wallowas, which became their family home. Melisa writes essays, poetry, and memoir through much of her learning, though much of her writing has been lost to bad computers, bad decisions, fires, and the wind. Welcome, Melisa Bush.
Thank you, Mike. I don't know what to say. I thought I was supposed to tell you everything. This is my first time to read. When I was little, I wanted to be on the Johnny Carson show. I was going to stand on my head. But as I became an adult, this is my dream, to come and read to you here at Fireside. Tonight I'm reading about loss. A Fragile Cup. My Norwegian friend Ina called today. We hadn't spoken for years. Your death, dear Bill, has brought back so many friends. Do I thank you? I was walking my neighbor's dog Scully along the Nez Perce Trail, where I usually shush the summer people who gab on phones. It is a holy place. But it's winter, and no one's around, and we're remembering you. Is that not holy? Remember I asked Ina what you told me romantic was? No. Tell me again, Ina says in her Oslo apartment. Rows of books behind her, art and soft lighting. I scrabble with Scully, where the stale snow crusts brittle, the wind whips. When will fresh snow fall again? You said romantic is when someone brings you coffee every morning. Ah, yes, well, Ina says, I suppose that is true. We talk more and plan to talk again and say goodbye, and I bring the dog back to its home. We shiver. As I warm up, I remember how you made me coffee every morning. The cup waiting on the counter for me to sip while I made our work lunches. And on the weekends, while I still slept, you tiptoed in and placed it on the bedside table. It was always still warm when I roused myself. I like to think how you gauged that I was nearly awake. I like to think how gently you must have set the cup in place. I like to think that it made you proud, this skill. I like to think that was the romance of my life, a fragile cup cradled between my hands. The Broken People Party. I don't want to go to the Broken People Party. I don't want to be introduced to people just because, they lost someone too. I don't want to sit at the wedding table where all the misfits sit. I want to be at the real party with the unbroken ones. Is there such a party? I want to be my old self, so I slap on as many bandages as I can because you bleed out fast when you lose half your soul. I go for walks, I read, and I write, and I meditate, I do yoga, I go to the doctor, I go to the mountains, I read upon revival, I drink from the fountains, but I am not closer to fine. No matter if I take all the prescribed remedies, these anodynes will never bring you back. And I know there are terrible tragedies happening every day. Ukrainian ballet dancers and Russian boy soldiers, whole schools of Iranian and whole schools of Palestinian children, and Israeli families in hospital corridors who clap back and shout, "Not my Prime Minister." Núñez, Lunas, Diaz, La, Good, Yazes Cruz, Sanchez, Preti. Presente, 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 para todos, for us all. Unknowns to me, but dearly knowns to others. Collective, they make a fiery sun of sorrows, and my own pale moon lost orbits, a mere reflection. So, actually, I think I'll stay at the Broken People party a while longer, maybe forever. These are my people, where we half remember joy and half forget the pain, and dance together when we can in the moonlight interstices. Ride or die. My friend Janelle and I go to Dean's Homestyle Diner on the gritty side of Clackamas. Is there another kind? Misspelled menu. The breakfast crowd gossip is as loud as any midnight bar. We push our Benedict platters to the side, and we are elbow propped on the formica, heart to hearting. I'm telling her my widow woes. I'm past the 8th month mark from losing my bill, past the funeral expenses and the meal trains and the sympathy cards. Hey, people drop like flies, I tell her. They're done. My brothers, some married couples, it's awkward. I feel like I show up and the Volga boat river music cranks up. Oh, here she comes. My friend looks at me a long time and says over the rim of her coffee cup and says, forget them. They're just not your ride or dies. Don't think about them. What? I yell over the roar and clatter of their neck-deep talks. She leans over and yells back, they're not your ride or dies. Ride or dies. Not everyone is. I'm your ride or die. Like Hell's Angels. Janelle, my beautiful, quiet librarian friend, she scrapbooks and quilts. And man, now I can see her as a biker chick, leather chaps, straddling her hog, her long blonde hair flowing in the wind. Ride or die means intense loyalty, commitment, regardless of consequences. And when I let go of the, I wish they would people, I see that I'm riding with a whole pack of ride or dies. They're behind me, backing me thick and thin. My dear one who wrote me poems from Sierra Leone and held my cold hands as we scattered my beloved's ashes in the aneroid dawn, who shaken with Parkinson's climbs my steps with a single yellow rose, who let me curl up like a dog at the foot of her bed, who passes her healing hands over my fraught body. A student, now friend, who has the wisdom to still ask me for advice, who sends the dirty jokes late at night, who gives me a bag of snow pants, a mace and a soup, an armload of his candles and soaps, and talks to my boy on a bad Christmas day, who feed me mounds of spaghetti in a dark cabin and laugh for me the way we used to. My aptly named Hope, who makes me talk about money and stuff and buys me buckets of paint, who ladle up elk stew and we chant spells against ice around a bonfire, who meet me in cafes, who let me stay in their homes, who put up with me. My precious 10 fish trappers who write with me in sweet silence on our Tuesdays, who ask me, 3 of you, hey, I saw you got pulled over by the sheriff, are you okay? Me in the little green car that you called 911 from, Bill, who sing with me in the cold Grange Hall with the 4 o'clock sunset slanting golden, who place in my hand a dark as blood, heart-shaped stone, my ride or dies, who strides in the snow with me, out of breath wabi-sabi with our sad and funny stories, who work on Seroptimus puzzles of Japanese tsunamis overwhelming the boat of a lone fisherman, and we note there's 2 missing pieces. My tea house friend who tells me this is a terrible gift, but a gift nonetheless, who shows me owls in the treetops and books unwritten, who fights cancer and drinks Walla Walla wine with me, and we toast our ridiculous lives as we always have. My dearest ones, whose own loss in Zimbabwe still stuns me, picks me up and dusts me off again and again. Her children teach my son how to be this way now, fierce and pure, who pray with me, their faces bright in my mind's eye. My dear expats strung out across the globe, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Myanmar, Germany, Italy, Latvia, Hungary, 24/7 and more. My best cousin, whose voice brings me back to the Ozark cadence of my childhood and my family, long gone to that beautiful shore. And some ride or dies are so far back, I can't even see them, but they ride at the ready to be called upon. Do you know why Hell's Angels travel in packs? It's aerodynamics. The lead rider is propelled by those backing them. It's safer, it's smoother, and the buffeting currents of wind don't cut as hard. Why do I need so many? I asked Janelle as the waitress clears our plates. Why am I so greedy? Why do I crave so much love, I ask. It takes a lot of us to fill the space of one so large in your life, she smiles. And the slap-down check we tug of war to pay. So who are your ride or dies? Not everyone is. Some are in others' packs. Not everyone is born to be wild. Not everyone is a Harley. And some of them can't even find the highway. But I know the way now. And if you, when you have to hit the road, I'll be your ride or die.
Thanks, Melisa. A couple other messages and we'll get to our third reader. This is one for all you adventurers out there. For years now, Fishtrap has partnered with the Nature Conservancy, and every June we send a small group of writers out to the Zumwalt Prairie to unplug for a week, to turn off your phone and just connect with the natural world and write about it with an instructor. The program always sells out right away, but we just had somebody drop out last week, and so there's one sweet spot. So if you want to spend a week with C. Marie Furman, Janet Homan, and Kelsey Juvie making meals for you all week and camping out in the Zumwalt Prairie, go grab that spot because there's just one left. It's called Outpost on the Zumwalt Prairie, June 15 through 20. And then, of course, Summer Fishtrap is in June this year, too. And I hope all of you come up in the evenings. If you don't sign up for a workshop, come up in the evenings to hear some of the best writers in the West read their stuff. It's always a blast under the big top at Wallowa Lake Lodge. You can also watch those online, too. Okay, let's get to our third reader. Beth Estock is a pastor, a yogi, and a master certified leadership coach who loves living where the mountains are persuasive and long walks double as thinking time. She's interested in the holy, hiding in plain sight, and in stories that refuse to behave themselves. I like that. Beth spends a lot of time listening to people, the land, and the spirits that whisper when we're paying attention. She believes words can build connections, loosen certainties, and occasionally get us into just the right kind of trouble. Come on up, Beth.
I was told that I had to warn people that there might be colorful language. So there's a little, okay. 3 years ago, my father died, and for most of my life, the truth about him lived behind a curtain of manipulation. He was a sociopath with a compulsive sex addiction. And for more than 35 years, his sexual promiscuity remained hidden, covered over by denial and the complicated loyalty that often binds families together. As the Buddhists say, I have history, but I'm not my history. So I'm writing a book about that history as a way to metabolize it. As a Christian, I resonate with the image of separating the wheat from the chaff. So my question in writing this book is, what is the chaff that I can forgive and let go of? And what is the kernel beyond and within the history that is mine to claim as essence and gift? So the passage I'm going to read for you tonight comes after our family had gathered for intervention, asking my father to get help and to choose his wife and family over the web of secret relationships he had built with other women who were felons, drug addicts, and prostitutes. And he characteristically responded with, "This is none of your goddamn business. I can do whatever I damn well please." So this meant that Mom had to leave. So this is a story of helping her move from Ohio to Oregon. On a hot summer day, my 82-year-old mother sat on a camp chair in a 12 by 16 foot storage unit just a mile down the road from her home, looking at her worldly possessions packed in boxes all around her. After 62 years of marriage, the hopes and dreams, the building of a family and a successful business together with her husband, this was what she was left with. Boxes filled with precious memories, each item a story that had turned bitter. She had grown up chasing a Norman Rockwell life, and there she sat, shattered. I watched heartbroken as she surveyed it all, wondering what, if anything, she could redeem. She was limited to 4 suitcases to take with her on the airplane to Oregon, as she reluctantly willed herself to start over again. I leaned against her car to hold myself upright as we both felt the ache and anger of this surreal moment. I needed someone to mark this tragedy with us. I wanted someone to hold me as I had held my mother. So I took a photo and I sent it to my husband, Jeff, who was working in Oregon, with one word: tragic. The entire week had been exhausting, and a part of me was dying inside. The house on Austenburg Road was my mom's pride and joy. She called it her dream house. They had moved into it 20 years previously, after their business started making money. It sat on 3 acres backed up to the woods. The great room with floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a manicured garden filled with Mom's favorite flowering bushes. And beyond that, as far as the eye could see, stood a forest of maples, oaks, and pine. The kitchen was a cook's delight with a baking center, 2 refrigerators, and a commercial stove, and 2 convection ovens. Cooking was Mom's love language that spilled over into her dining room with family gatherings. On my visits, I loved to sit in the Amish rockers drinking my morning coffee in that beloved dining room by the wood-burning fireplace. When Mom originally found the home with a vision to remodel it into its current form, Dad didn't want to have anything to do with it. He thought the effort an extravagant pain in the ass. But now he boasted to everyone that it was his idea to move there and remodel the home to make it into the showpiece that it was. As part of the professionally manicured landscape, my dad had engineered large trash cans into feeders filled with corn for the deer. He also had 5 bird feeders hanging from metal poles that the squirrels liked to attack, dumping the seed to the ground for the wild turkeys. He often said there was nothing better than to sit on his commode and watch the deer outside. Even the shitting was good in this house. The final day of the move, I sat in the car waiting for Mom to say goodbye. This would be the last time she would claim this house as hers. My sister Marie and I had spent the week taking every precious thing out of the house to the storage unit so that those women would not desecrate or steal her treasures. We had gone through 62 years of pictures, letters, family histories, legal documents, and financial statements, deciding what to keep, and the rest we burned. We did not want those women to have any way to trace our family. The fire smoldered for 2 days as we took box after box of documents outside to the burn pile. My hair and clothes reeked of toxic smoke. For the past decade, my mom had lived in her sewing room, hiding from the pain of their marriage. She willed herself to pretend that everything was all right, 1 stitch at a time. Consequently, she had a mountain of material, patterns, and sewing notions, and all of it went into boxes. We took all the family pictures off the walls because none of us wanted those women to see us. Mom packed her fine china, embroidered tablecloths, good knives, pots and pans, her standing mixer, her Cuisinart, and the Keurig coffee machine. We emptied her closets, taking most of her clothes to Goodwill since she had lost 80 pounds that year over the collapse of a carefully constructed life. We went through her jewelry and the safe. My dad lived on the enclosed porch that week, watching game shows or playing his $8,000 accordion. If he wasn't there, you could find him at his desk, home to his porn videos and computer games. For most of that week, Dad sat at his desk playing Hoyle card games, while all around him we opened file drawers and packed boxes. His only request when he realized we had packed all the pictures was to keep 2 framed photos, one of my brother Mark, who had died 5 years earlier, and the other of his deceased mother. And at the end of each day, when we were exhausted, he would say, "How about we all go out to dinner?" The first time he made that offer, we looked at each other, not knowing what to make of the invitation. I thought, how odd. What was he up to? Or was he just that clueless? But I played along. I was hungry, and he had money to burn. Better spend it on us than his prostitutes. At the end of the week, after we had cleared the house of its treasures and my sister had returned to work in Portland, Maine, I left Mom in the house alone to say her final goodbyes. She walked slowly through each room, remembering the good times with family and friends, touching the furniture, running her hands along the kitchen counters, taking in the light from the great room windows, looking out past her garden and into the woods. My dad was sitting outside on the wooden porch swing along the side of the driveway. He looked like a little boy waiting to be punished. I teared up watching him. He had no idea how his pride and stupidity were rupturing our family. At that moment, he did not comprehend that his wife would never come back to live with him again. I turned to see Mom, head lowered, walking out the garage door, Kane supporting her as if she were walking from a funeral of her beloved. Tears streamed down her face. When Dad saw this, his eyes brightened, and a slight smile moved across his face. I am sure, he thought, she loves me. She'll be back. She'll never be able to leave me for good. I will win this battle eventually, and I have her wrapped around my finger. I always have, and I always will. He got up and met her halfway to the car. They hugged. I sobbed, looking at this pathetic display of insincerity. He helped her to the car, kissed her on the cheek, and walked back to the swing. After she buckled, she turned, looking me in the eyes, and soberly said, "He thinks I'm crying for him. I will never cry for him again. I'm crying for my home. My heart is breaking. Let's get out of here."
Thank you, Beth. Wow, powerful stories this month, huh? So now we're going to take a break. Like I said, fill your glass, talk to some people, enjoy some of the great snacks that we have. I do want to tell you before we leave that next month's Fireside, it's the last one of the season, and it's kind of a fun one. We're trying something. It's a special youth Fishtrap Fireside featuring students from Joseph, Enterprise, Wallowa, and Building Healthy Families. So that should be a really fun one next month. And then I just want to thank all of you. If you had a great time tonight, think about throwing a couple bucks in the fish on the way out. It really helps to keep the program going. And you can also contribute online. Thanks to all of you who are also fish trappers. You folks help make these programs happen, so I appreciate it. So let's take a break, stretch, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes.